All right, so now that I've got my own code updated for this example NFT repository, everything's been updated to Cadence 1.0, and once you've done this yourself, it's time to begin locally testing your code. So we're on this test phase of the migration. Your first tool in your testing arsenal will be any of the automated testing frameworks that are available on Flow. So the first one is the officially supported Cadence testing framework that's available within the Flow CLI. It allows you to write tests, integration tests for the Flow blockchain natively in the Cadence language here. There's lots of documentation for this on the cadencelang.org site as well. The next one is Overflow, which is a community maintained test framework for integration tests as well. You will have to use the stable Cadence tagged release here. And for the flow test framework, you'll have to obviously be using the preview CLI, the Cadence 1.0 preview CLI. And the last one is Flow.js testing, which has actually been updated by the community as well to be compliant with Cadence 1.0. So likewise, you'll also have to use this stable Cadence tagged release in order to access these features. These are all tools that can be used to help you ensure that your upgraded code will continue to work as expected and help catch any sort of potential issues that may appear. You likely will in your project have some of these tests already with the old versions of the framework, so it's just maybe a matter of updating them. So after we've finished writing any of our integration tests and they're all passing and everything seems correct, the next step will be to emulate the Crescendo network migration locally. This allows you to perform the Crescendo upgrade on a previous state snapshot of the Flow emulator and then emulate any updates for any contracts of your choosing. To do this, you must create a state snapshot of the pre-Cadence 1.0 state with any contracts you want to test deployed and then locally run the migration. So to do this, we'll swap back to the main branch of our repository. We'll run the Flow emulator with persist mode. And we will go and we will deploy our project as well. So this deploys the contract, and now we can stop the emulator, and you can see here that we have this flow DB, and this contains the state snapshot that we want to migrate. So now I'll check out the Cadence 1.0 branch, and from here I can now run the following command in order to perform this migration. If I run this, here, flow migrate state, DB path pointing to this flow DB. And then I want to migrate the example NFT contract and save a report to this directory here. I run it and great, the migration seems to have passed. Now that we've migrated the emulator state, we can switch back over to our Cadence 1.0 branch. So if I go here, check out Cadence 1, and now I can start an emulator again in persist mode, but instead I will be using the preview CLI. So flow-c1 emulator persist, and this will start the emulator now with this migrated state. And now I can test this using any scripts, transactions, updated versions of Flow Client Library, using my application, whatever else is needed in order to ensure that the contract still functions as expected. So the last testing option available will be using the preview network, which is a live network that's been spun up with all of the Crescendo changes, and you can deploy your contracts here and test them as if you would on testnet or any other network really. So what you're gonna do to do this is hop over to your flow.json again, and in here you're gonna wanna add the following fields. I've already got them filled in here. However, you need to add the preview net node to your networks tab or network section, and then you're gonna wanna add all of the aliases for any of your dependency contracts for the preview net network. Once you've done this, you're going to want to create a preview net account using the Flow Cadence 1.0 CLI. So flow c1 accounts create, and we can call it whatever we want to. It's for the preview net network. Fantastic. It will create this account for us. And once this is done, we're going to want to also add a deployment for the PreviewNet network for this newly created account. If you need any flow balance on your account, you can hop over to the PreviewNet faucet. The faucet website has been updated to include a new section for PreviewNet if you need to fund any of these accounts. So for PreviewNet, we have PreviewNet account. And now we can go flow C1, project deploy. Network is PreviewNet. And this should deploy our example NFT contract to PreviewNet, where it will now be accessible.